Jungkook on the campus, the way storms on the sky, loud, impossible to ignore, and dangerous only if you stood too close. Everyone knew his name, John Jungkook. Rich, reckless, devastatingly handsome. Tattoos peeking from under rolled up sleeves, broad shoulders that stretching his uniform jacket just enough to make heads turn, a lazy smirk that made his heart race and rules bend. Professors sigh when he walked in late, students whispered when he passed, girls giggled, boys stared, and yet somehow everyone loved him. Everyone except Kim Taehyung. Taehyung sat by the window in the third row, where sunlight spilled across his notebooks and dust danced in the air like quiet secrets. He was the kind of student who came early, left late, and lived between pages filled with neat handwriting and color-coded notes. Glasses slide down his nose when he focused too hard, sleeves always buttoned, hair always tidy. A nerd people said boring, they added. Jungkook disagreed. If Taehyung was boring, then Jungkook wouldn't feel his chest tighten every time those long fingers wrap around a pen. He wouldn't memorize the soft curve of Taehyung's lip when he concentrated. He wouldn't find excuses, stupid, unnecessary excuses, to say his name, Kim Taehyung. Taehyung stiffened the moment that voice reached him. Here we go again. He don't need to turn around to know Jungkook was standing there, too close, shadow falling over his desk. The familiar scent of expensive cologne and something sharper, confidence, maybe arrogance, filled his space. What? Taehyung replied, flatly, eyes still on his book. Jungkook grinned. Buy me a drink. I'm busy. Jungkook leaned down, resting his palm on the desk, muscles flexing without effort. Homework then? You did it already, right? Taehyung finally looked up, annoyance clear in his eyes. Do it yourself. A few students nearby pretended not to watch. They always did. Jungkook never hit, never shoved, never crossed that obvious line. He bullied with words, with favors, with presents. And somehow people laughed it off because it was Jungkook, the golden boy, the bad boy, the one who could do no wrong. Jungkook chuckled, low and soft, like Taehyung had just said something cute. You look better when you are mad. Taehyung's jaw tightened. Go away. For a split second, just one, Jungkook's smile flattered. Because the truth was, Jungkook didn't know how to go away. He didn't know how to stop watching Taehyung from across the cafeteria. Didn't know how to stop choosing the seat behind him in class. Didn't know how to stop his heart from racing when Taehyung brushed past him without looking. So he did the only thing that felt safe. He bullied him. If he asked for drinks, Taehyung would look at him. If he demanded homework, Taehyung would talk to him. If he annoyed him enough, Taehyung would notice him. It was stupid. Jungkook knew that. A bad boy with everything, terrified of one quiet nerd who didn't even like him. Jungkook straightened up, slipping his hands into his pockets. Relax, I'm joking. You always are, Taehyung muttered. Jungkook laughed again, louder this time, masking the sting in his heart. See you later, nerd. As he walked away, surrounded by friends and whispers and admiration, no one noticed the way his shoulder tensed. And no one noticed the way Taehyung watched his back leave the classroom, confused, irritated, and completely unaware that the boy who made his life difficult had already fallen for him far too deeply, because Jungkook wasn't Taehyung's biggest enemy. He was his biggest secret. The college canteen was loud, chairs scraping, trays clattering, laughter bouncing off the walls. Jungkook sat sprawled across his seat like he owned the place, one arm slung over the backrest, eyes scanning the room out of habit. Then smack. Oh, what the hell? Jungkook whipped his head around just in time to see Park Jimin sliding into the seat beside him, grin sharp and unapologetic. Shorter than Jungkook by a lot, but somehow carrying himself like he could rule kingdoms if he wanted. You hit my head again, I swear, Jungkook scolded. You shorty. Jimin rolled his eyes, completely unbothered as he stole a fry from Jungkook's tray. Please, I'm immune to red threats. Best friend privilege. Jungkook clicked his tongue but didn't protest. He never did with Jimin. Jimin leaned closer, voice dropping just enough to sound dangerous. So, he said casually, chewing, when are you gonna propose to that nerd, huh, Jungkook? What are you, insane? His face hitting instantly. He shot a quick glance around the canteen, heart pounding. Lower your voice, what if someone heard you? Jimin burst out laughing, shoulders shaking. Wow, he teased, eyes sparkling. You are actually nervous? That's new. Jungkook shoved him lightly. Shut up, his ears burned. He turned his face away, jaw tight, pretending to be very interested in the vending machines across the room. Anything but Jimin's knowing stare. Jimin watched him for a moment, amusement softening into something gentler. He sighed, shaking his head. You are a mess, Jungkook. Jungkook didn't reply, because across the canteen, Kim Taehyung sat alone, focused on his food like the world didn't exist, and Jungkook's heart did that stupid thing again. Jimin followed his gaze and hummed quietly. Yeah, he murmured. You are down bad. Jungkook clenched his fists, and still he smiled. Jungkook had never been good at regret. He acted first, thought later, if at all. That's how he survived. That's how he stayed untouchable, but lying on his bed that night, staring at the ceiling while the clock ticked too loudly, regret wrapped around him like a slow ache. He shouldn't have chosen this way. Bullying, teasing, annoying Taehyung just to steal a few seconds of his attention. It felt clever at first, safe, better than confessing and being rejected. But now Jungkook wondered if he had already ruined everything before it even had a chance to begin. Sleep never fully came. When it did, it was shallow and broken. His head throbbed, his body felt heavy and overheated. Still, he dragged himself to college the next morning, stubborn as always. By break time, the world felt blurry. Jungkook dropped into a chair in the canteen, arms folded on the table, forehead resting on them. He told himself it was nothing. He always pushed through. Then a familiar hand touched his head. Holy! Jimin froze. We are burning up. Jungkook barely reacted, only groaned softly. Jimin frowned, worry flashing across his face. Idiot, you have got a fever. He was about to shake Jungkook awake when his eyes caught sight of someone approaching. Book clutched to chest, steps quiet, expression focused. Kim Taehyung, Jimin's lip curved slowly. Oh, he murmured. Perfect. He stood up and stepped right into Taehyung's path. Hey, sorry, excuse me? Taehyung stopped, blinking behind his glasses. Yes, my friend's sick, Jimin said, gesturing vaguely behind him. Like, really sick? Could you maybe drop him home? I have got something urgent to handle. Taehyung frowned instantly. Why me? Before Taehyung could say another word, Jimin was already backing away. Thanks, I will send you the address. Wait, what? Taehyung called out. Too late. Jimin was gone. Taehyung stood there, stunned, phone buzzing in his hand. Seconds later, location received. He stared at the screen, then at the slumped figure at the table. John Jungkook, of course. Taehyung scowled sharply. Unbelievable. He stepped closer and gently tapped Jungkook's shoulder. Hey, wake up. Jungkook shifted, eyes fluttering open, unfocused. Tai? He mumbled, voice hoarse. Taehyung stiffened. Don't call me that. Jungkook tried to sit up and failed, swaying dangerously. Taehyung cursed under his breath. Idiot, he muttered, through his hands were already reaching out. Jungkook leaned forward again, weak and dizzy. And before Taehyung could overthink it, he slipped an arm under Jungkook's knee and another around his back. Gasps rippled through the canteen. No one expected Kim Taehyung, quiet, soft-spoken, bookish, to lift the campus bad boy like he waited nothing. Taehyung's arm trembled slightly, but he held him firm. You are heavier than you look, he muttered. Jungkook whimpered softly, face turning toward Taehyung's neck, breath warm against his skin. He nudged closer instinctively, like he was searching for comfort. Taehyung's face went red. No, don't, he whispered, flustered. Just stay still. Jungkook didn't listen. Taehyung sighed, defeated. Unbelievable, he repeated. This time quieter, he carried Jungkook all the way outside, ignoring the stairs, placed him carefully on the car, and drove to the address Jimin had sent. At Jungkook's house, Taehyung did it again, lifting him steady despite the ache in his arm, stepping inside the quiet, unfamiliar space. As he laid Jungkook down on the bed, Jungkook's finger weakly crawled into his sleeve. Don't go, Jungkook murmured, feverish and honest. Taehyung froze. For the first time, he wondered, maybe this bully wasn't as heartless as he thought. The house was too quiet. Taehyung noticed it only after he settled Jungkook onto the bed and stepped back. No voices, no footsteps, no sign of anyone else living there. The space was big, expensive, modern furniture, spotless floors, but it felt empty, like no one ever stayed long enough to make noise. He swallowed. He lives alone? Taehyung murmured to himself. Something twisted uncomfortably in his chest. Jungkook shifted on the bed. A soft wind slipping past his lips drove furrow in discomfort. His skin still felt too warm, too hot. This wasn't just a mild fever. Taehyung straightened quickly. Okay, I need to call a doctor. He turned, reaching for his phone, but fingers wrapped weakly around his wrist. No, Jungkook whimpered. Taehyung froze. He looked down slowly. Jungkook was half awake, eyes glossy and unfocused, lashes damp, lips pushed into the tiniest pout. He talked Taehyung closer like a child afraid of being left alone. Don't leave me, Jungkook whispered. Taehyung's breath coughed. He looks cute.